I mean, it's interesting when you've got a brother my brother's a little bit less than 2 years younger than me, and then a brother who came along unexpectedly, who's much younger than me. It's almost like we had different childhoods to a degree. So for Brad and I, the two oldest, we're very similar childhood, same church, same family, different personalities. I'm more extroverted. He's a little bit more introverted. He's much better in a number of areas than I am. Athletics, math and science. I skewed more English, performing arts, music. So our personalities were different. And because our church that we grew up in was small, we did not have like a robust youth group. So we went through things like Awana when we were younger that was really formative. I still remember King James Version verses that I memorized. But once I got to like junior high school, there's something significant about a young person being in a community of people who were also at least trying out the way of Jesus, not like fully committed to it, but families who are committed to the same sorts of things. And so we both separately went to different youth groups based on our friends who invited us. So I had two friends, one whose dad worked for Missions Door, one whose dad worked for World Venture, which is our historic sister organization, that both went to the same youth group. They invited me. They said, "Hey, like you're not going anywhere. Like, come there. There's like 100 high schoolers. Like, come with us to that." And so I think that was formative because I had a chance to be around people my age, teaching that was geared towards me, big events that I can invite my friends to that I was excited about. Like, who wouldn't want to come do an alien invasion? Who wouldn't want to come play in this great volleyball tournament? Because it was fun. And yes, we're going to talk about Jesus, but it was an event that was worth the risk of inviting someone to. So I got involved in a different youth group, and I think that was formative in how quickly I moved to embrace the way of Jesus, because I did that more rapidly than my middle brother did. I had more Christian friends than he did. I was a little bit more social. And so I think that I embraced the way of Jesus fully sooner than he did. He was cooler than I was, right? So I didn't have to resist some of the opportunities that he had. And so I don't know what he would say. My impression was, from our time in high school, we were companions, but maybe not friends, right? Like we wouldn't have run in the same social circles in high school. But then, I think he would have said, unfortunately, he ended up following me to the same college. So I was the first person that I know in my high school that went to Truman State University. And then 2 years later, through some scholarships falling through, he ended up following me there. And we actually became friends in college. And I think he really fully embraced it in a full way. When he came to college, we lived together that first year. He got involved in the same campus ministry I was involved in and really took off. I remember praying for him with some of the other student leaders, saying, like, my brother is coming here and I want him to want to be in our community. But I don't want to force him into that. Like, I want him to choose and to make his own way and just be okay for him to choose whatever he's going to choose. And like weeping with my friends, just longing for him to not only be committed to the way of Jesus, but to move into like more of a friend relationship. And that was a prayer that God really honored. And now Brad is one of the elders at our church in Tucson. So he preaches on Sunday mornings periodically and is very involved in our ministry, even though he's not in ministry. So he works very successful job in finance, but then is serving the Lord in our local church and is very generous with the resources God has given him. For my younger brother, because my family moved when Brad and I were in college to Colorado. So we'd been in Chicago for a long time. They relocated. And when I went to college, my freshman year of college, my little brother was 5. So just starting kindergarten. So it's, when you're an 18-year-old, like, what do I talk to my 5-year-old brother about? Like, I can play with him, but we're not having robust conversations about theology or even sports half the time because he's so young. And then they moved when he was, I think, 7 or 8 to Colorado. So he had a different growing up season. It was more like an only child. I think because he had older brothers, it was kind of like, oh, my older brothers are great, kind of an idolization to a degree, but we didn't really know each other. My parents, because Brad and I were at University of Arizona doing our church, they said, we'll pay for you to go there as long as you go to church with your brothers. It's right on campus, you could go. So he had some formative experiences on mission trips in the Dominican Republic, and then he went to Haiti after the earthquake. That would have been in 2010. Yeah, that's right, because I turned 30 while we were there. That was really significant for him. But he took a more meandering path. And even though I think he would have said that he'd committed his way to Jesus and been baptized, he was certainly not living the life of a disciple, had not fully surrendered to Jesus as Lord and to Jesus as the rabbi who's teaching a disciple how to actually live. Not just the get out of hell free card, right? But to how to actually live and move and be in this world that God created. And so for my little brother, it probably wasn't until my mom was going through her treatment for pancreatic cancer that, when death is on the door for someone that you really love, it puts a lot of things in perspective, and what kind of legacy and who do I want to be, and who is my mom longing for me to be. And I think that my mom's treatment and then death led to my brother actually choosing the way of Jesus for himself in a transforming way. And I think that maybe not any parent, but certainly for my mother, I think my mom would have taken that trade again and again. To know that the son that she talked to every week, that she'd been praying for years, that had trouble finding his way, that her going home to her Lord earlier than she might have wanted would result in him fully choosing the way of Jesus and marrying a wonderful Christian woman and having a son and beginning to lead Bible studies and be involved in a local church and be a vibrant part of following the way of Jesus. I think she would take that trade again and again. And I think I would take that trade, So it was a very different journey. But my brother Brad and I had similar upbringing. Colin was almost like an only child, so that's a very long-winded version of kind of how that worked out for us.